Get ready to start. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Confessions of an Autism Mom. This month, we have another special guest. Mamta is here to share her journey as an autism mom, and she's also an author. She's wrote multiple books talking about her journey and basically giving moms like me and other moms just encouragement to keep going. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Amanda? And thank you for inviting me to this show. Such an honor and privilege to share this platform with other autism moms.
Yes, and thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. And I'm so glad that you are here to share your story. I love when moms come on, especially when they have been on the journey for a while and they can tell us from their point of view because we're all here to basically just learn how to navigate through this journey and not lose ourselves and still stay strong. So thank you for coming on.
So thank you. My honor and privilege.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and hop in today's episode. So to start off with, your name is Mamta, and it actually means mother's love. How
Yes.
has how has your name just shaped just showing up as a mom and advocating for your son?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this name was given to me by my parents. Okay. And I live this name every day of my life, So now, it is mine. So that's even though it was given to me by my parents, I did not know that this journey of tackling Prague's autism will make me uh, the name itself will get tested, you know and so I have multiple hats that I wear, but I really am honored to be mom of my two sons, Ankur and Parag. They are my blessings, from God. And Parag, my younger one, has autism, and I have been running his homeschool for 25 some years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And how
So
he's 25?
no, he is 30 now. So he was diagnosed when he was 2 years and 7 months of age. And yes, and then of course, when all the struggles that came with it, knowing that there is no cure for autism, it was shattering. And then, I didn't know, like the lowest. Let me tell you a little bit about, where I live. I live in Gadsden, Alabama. Okay,
Okay.
and yeah, and of course I told you I have my two sons, and my husband is a physician, and he was the one who told me, Mamta, there is no cure for autism. And uh, I could see the pain in his eyes because he cures people and he couldn't cure his own son. And then I went through a very dark phase during that time, and it was like it was it's very hard to put it in words, but I was totally lost and lonely. And I would ask God, why me? Why me, God? And Amanda, I believe that all of us go through that phase when we come across, very challenging situations in our life. And my belief in the power of prayer pulled me out from that phase faster, because, praying is the common denominator between all religion. So during that time, I pray all the time. I have not shared this. It's not even in the book. Okay, uh, so when I pray for somebody, a lot of times when I wake up, I realize that I have been praying for that person in my sleep.
Yeah.
So that's how intensely I pray. So during that time, what happened was, while I was praying, this voice spoke in my head, and it says, Prague has autism. Are you going to mope, cry, or sulk, or are you going to do something about it? Believe me, I did not. I mean, I did not know what I was going to do. But in that moment, I knew that I was not going to mope, cry, and sulk. And with God's grace, I went to Jacksonville State University to get my master's in special education. And that was a game changer because otherwise I was totally confused. And when you type in autism on the Google search bar, 531 million results pop up in 44 seconds. So, and all that information, the tsunami of information, and in that, not all the information is useful or correct. So, going to the university gave me that support, that I was like a rudderless boat. So, like, it gave me an anchor to hold on to evidence-based research,
Yes.
and then that's how the journey started. So I did not plan anything. One thing has happened to other. I have no plans of writing any books.
Yeah. So, can you tell us about the first signs that you saw in Prague that really made you, go and get him tested?
Yes. So Ankur and Prague, they're actually 10 months apart. Okay. So I knew developmentally, I was very much aware what Ankur was doing. And that made me realize that Prague is not reaching his milestones. And so, one thing that really made me think about it was that Prague wouldn't repeat words after us. And once in a blue moon, he will say something and then he won't. So that was one of the biggest trigger for me to take him to the pediatrician. However, that is not generally that happens. What generally happens, Amanda, is that around 15 month of age, they lose the words that they have gained, and that makes parents think about, oh, what happened, why, so that was different with Prague. And Prague was nonverbal until age 4, and now he is, I mean, of course, once he started repeating words after us, it was echolalia. Echolalia is like meaningless repetition of someone else's words, and because they do not attach meaning to the words they're saying. So my homeschool, I mean, yes, when we started, it was more to change that echolalia into meaningful conversation. But I do want to tell people out there to uh, to be watchful of these symptomatic behaviors. So many a times, kids with autism, they do not have eye contact or very little eye contact. They may rock their bodies back and forth, sideways, flap their hands, walk on their toes, and many, not all, because it's a spectrum. So many may not like to be hugged, touched, and kissed. So yeah, but with Parag, he is very affectionate, and initially he used to be in his own world where he will line up the what is it called, those were small trucks, Hot Wheels. Yeah. So, yeah. So he used to line those up for hours and hours, and he could be like away from people. He was not gregarious. So we all have worked very hard where he's very gregarious, very friendly. So I'll tell you something funny. In COVID, when the entire world decided to give elbow bumps to each other, he decided to give elbow kisses. So he does this. He will come, and if he gives you his elbow, he wants a kiss. If he touches your elbow, then he wants to plant a kiss on your elbow, and he
Oh,
calls it elbow kissy wissy.
I love that. And he adapted to what was needed because he knew, that's amazing. So I want to talk about when you first received the journey. You said that you had a why me feeling, which I think we all have that feeling. But what other emotions did you feel during this time?
It was, as I told you, it was totally shattering because like we the lowest degree in my household is double masters. So Prague's grandpa, he taught in Auburn University. He passed on 2 years back, and he used to teach mechanical engineering. So, and I originally come from India. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, and my mother-in-law, she is a PhD in political science during that time when girls were not studying a lot. They were not going to school. So it was very hard for everybody to think that he may not go to college, he may not go the route that generally kids go through. So that was there. Everybody was in their own pain, including me. Um, and I it, the and I think all of us go through that in this journey, but it's very important to find some direction. Had I not gone to the university, I wouldn't have found that direction. So it, all of us are in this journey, and we learn from each other. We but gain support from each other, and uh, we need that support system. And
Yes.
I did not know when Prague got diagnosed that one day I'll be an autism advocate, and I'm not just for him, but I have a foundation. I started a foundation, Autism Foundation of Gadsden, Alabama, and we do this annual autism conference every year. Together, we can make a difference. So, and we have the fifth annual autism conference in in April, 18th of April 2026. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, the day we realize, no mother plans to have a special needs child, but
Mhm.
the day we realize that they are blessings from God, and God never ever makes a mistake, that is the day we become their true advocate, their true guardian. And I did not know all that I had no plans, no intentions of writing any books,
Yeah.
and now I have two books, so
We're
autism.
gonna definitely get into that.
So, Autism, Our Journey and Finding Happiness is my first book. And this is the new book, Energy Management Mantras for Caregivers.
Okay.
So, and I mean, this journey, through these books, I have been able to help a lot of people. But let me tell you how the book came along. So it will tell you more about what the question that you asked me. So it is like when went to the university, it was like I already knew that I won't be joining the workforce. So a lot of the primary caregivers, they have to give their own aspirations, ambitions to take care of the kid. So I was one of those. So my husband told me that, Mamta, you will have to take care of Parag, so you may not be able to join the workforce. And so knowing that, and I always believe there's some good hidden in the challenges. So knowing that, what it did was it liberated me from the fact um, that I didn't have the pressure that after doing all this, I'll have to find a job. The only pressure I had was, how much can I learn? I was so porous to learn more and more and applying into Prague. And at that time, I was also going to Walden School. It's in Emory University, and they
Uh-huh.
teach incidental teaching methods for the kids.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So then what happened was, since I was applying, I had started my homeschool. So the and then I would make presentations about how I was teaching and show it to my professors. Nowadays, if I tell when I go in the talks and stuff, and all the young kids are there listening to me, I said I used to record on a VCR and show it to my like professors. They're like, "Huh? What is VCR?" So yeah. So when they saw how Prague was improving, they said, "Mom, to write a book. It's going to help a lot of people." And I thought, how do I write a book? I don't know how to write a book. And
Yeah.
then, and moreover, I didn't even think that our story was worth sharing at that time. So 11 years after I graduated from Jacksonville State University, an
Mhm.
incident happened that motivated me to write this book.
What
So
happened?
so Amanda, I went to a flower shop here, and when I gave the credit card to the lady who was helping me, she looks at the card and says, "Huh, Mishra, are you the candle maker's mom?" Oh my God, I felt elated because Prague makes gel candles and natural body care products, and it is sold on through website, so
Okay.
it is called Prague Cosmetic.
Okay.
Yes. So that is, I came back. Oh my God, I came back so elated. And that's another story. I'll tell you how the vocation came along. So
Okay.
I took out a notebook and standing by the kitchen counter, I started writing. I mean, it just flew through the pen. Sometimes I feel I didn't, God wrote that book, in two.
Yeah.
And when I lifted my head up, 2.5 hours had passed by, and the first manuscript of the book was done. So that's how my first book was written. And then, of course, editing and all that. And then um, once I started looking for a publisher, they're like, "No, we only publish those who are already published." I'm like, "What is this?" So then
Yeah.
I found a publisher who believed in our story and journey. And I'm so thankful to Dr. Lumpkin for publishing my book. And that's, I think, once the book was written and published, I thought my job is done. I have given. But that's
Yeah.
when all started. Then people started sending me friend requests on my Facebook page. So I
Uh-huh.
made a public Facebook page, which is like the same name as my book, Autism, Our Journey and Finding Happiness. And it has a following of 135,000 people, and it's going strong.
That is
So
amazing.
so through that Facebook page, I counsel for free. And this book is simple, hands-on, practical. Like, it compiles 20 years of learning and teaching that has gone into Prague. And I sincerely believe that the coping skills and the behavioral interventions that have worked for Prague will work for all the kids with autism, provided it is done early on. Early
Yeah.
intervention is must, and consistently and persistently.
Yes.
So, because
I
when I
agree.
talk, I'm not talking about like few years. I'm talking about 25 some years. And I said he's 30, but I said 25 years because it took me that much time to make the homeschool cohesive to the
Oh,
point where it was running the way it was running. So initially, he was going to a private school to do the fringe activities. That's why he's so friendly, and of course, Prague has his vocation. He's a mess, So, but he's happy,
that's
and that gives me the energy to go on,
yeah.
and yes, so that's a huge thing. So for them
Yeah.
to be happy and productive, and is, I mean, that's a dream for all the parents, for all kids, special needs or not.
And I agree with that because I went through a stage where I was just like, okay, Aiden, let's do this and let's do that, like trying to help him develop skills. And for me, it just got to a point, I was like, I want him to be happy. Like everything else will come along. And I kind of relaxed from doing that so much. And he became a happier baby. I could see his happiness, and his skills also just organically developed. So I definitely agree. Like my main goal is to make sure my baby is happy.
How old is he?
He's 5.
Ah, cute.
Yes, little baby. Can what differences do you see between now and when you receive PROTS diagnosis? Because I know like autism is the awareness is spread a lot now. How was that back then?
So it was when I started, like, uh, at that time, the number was, if I'm not wrong, 1 out of 88 kids were, those were born were diagnosed with autism. And now it is 1 out of 31. So and then I happened to go to a pediatrician who was tremendous. So not everybody, have that had had that have had that kind of uh, experience, because you do, a lot of times, Amanda, it's what I have found out. It's not just that we parents are in denial, but sometimes the professionals too, when you go, they may say, oh, it's okay. You may say, oh, okay, he's not talking, and they'll be, oh, it's okay, it's a delay, so it will happen, so don't.
Yeah.
But it is important, like for me, that was not the case. The pediatrician was on it, and he told me that, Mamta, it is a developmental disorder, and you have to work in 3 areas: communication, socialization, and behaviors. And in my head, I'm thinking, how? And I like a lot of uh, the caregivers, they have a very hard time coping through meltdowns and tantrums.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that I worked with Prague was to not, like, of course, giving him coping skills to his meltdowns and tantrums. And I also share from my homeschool in that Facebook page when I'm teaching him how he's able to do it. And that is something that needs to be done from when they're very little, to work on all these areas. So what I believe is that many a times what happens, Amanda, we we become recluse because we don't want to share our kids because of the way society perceives us, because when you're different, then as a caregiver, we feel so guilty. What did we do wrong? Well, what are we doing wrong? We just blame ourselves. And then at the same time, also because like, our kids are unique, and the acceptance, we are like, okay, we have to protect our
Protect.
kids. And in that protection, what happens is we become recluse, and we don't have, like, I mean, now I have good friends. The friends who I have are my family by choice, but before I didn't have that. So it was, when I said I was lost and lonely, I was, because I didn't have people to go to and ask. So from what you have asked me at that time, I did not find the support. The only support was that something I created by going to the school for me, and not uh, everybody has the privilege to do that. So recently, there is something I really want to share out there for all the parents. If they feel that um, they're suspicious, because I already shared the symptomatic behaviors. If they're suspicious, then there is on the internet, it's a free resource. It's called MChat, M caps dash CHAT. And they can take the it's a questionnaire, so they can answer those questions on the behalf of the toddler. And then if they get certain points, and it's like, oh my god, this is the warning bell, then they can take it to the pediatrician or the psychologist and they can get the process of diagnosis started instead of relying on the school system.
School system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that I have learned in the course of my journey, and I like to share it so that it will help other caregivers and not go through the red tapeism that I went through. And uh, so that's sharing. Sharing is
Mhm.
caring. Yeah.
It is. It really is. And did your parenting change once you went to school and studied, with special education? Did it change?
Yes, a lot of understanding came, and as I was able to understand like a lot of things, because I have worked with Parag through applied behavioral analysis. Okay, and now the moment you say that, a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh,"
Yeah.
So, but like, so let me put it in a very in a layman's term, because that is easier for everybody to understand. Uh, so applied behavioral analysis is how we take instruction, process it, and then use it for our own benefit.
Right.
Okay. So that's as simple as I can make it. So what happens with our kids is that they're brilliant. I know they're brilliant. Okay. But they're not able to use that for their own benefit, for their own increase in quality of life. So what hinders them? All these three areas that I said: communication, socialization, and behaviors. So the undesirable behavior, they're not able to, it's not that behaviors are also their ways of expression, because imagine when you and I are talking and still we feel, oh, I wish I could say this. I'm so locked, and so how locked they must be feeling. 40% of this population is nonverbal. And those who verbalize, who can talk, they shy away from people.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a journey which is different for all the caregivers. I'm pretty sure that, the challenges, all of us, but at the same time, knowing like why is very important, because for me, when I went to the school, I realized that a lot of kids, like, when they have like, they're stimming,
Yeah.
so I used to think, why do they stim? And the answer to that, was not so much as school, but the common sense. Something, when you go through um, that turmoil, that challenge, lot of things, your analytical brain starts working, because you want to help your kid, and in
Yeah.
process of helping the kid, you also help yourself. So so one thing that I want to tell you about um, that stimming was that when Prague got diagnosed, I was I was broken. I was shattered. So I started, like, digging up. I was sitting crying on a like on my at my in my backyard, and I was digging. I took a twig and started digging. And you know what? That repetitive behavior helped me. It calmed me down.
Calm you down.
And that is how I figured out that their repetitive behavior calms them down. And that, but like that incident, actually, I'm a city girl. I was, I'm from Delhi, and I turned into a farmer, and gardening has come. I mean, it's my respite, it's my therapy, and through
Yeah.
gardening, I have come to know a lot of things that these kids do, and why. So stimming was one of the answers through
Yes.
gardening, that they do to calm themselves down. So that is why I never stopped Parag from stimming. But what I did, like, he used to do, he flap his hands. So what I did not really stop him from flapping hands, but, I made it I told him to put his hands in the pockets, okay? So then it doesn't draw that attention from the negative public attention. So he was putting his hands in the pocket and stimming. Yeah, and but it wasn't drawing that negative attention when he's walking in the mall or places, public places, okay? But something amazing happened. And this is really shareable. It is in my book, in my new book. And it is that what happened was he stopped flapping his hands after a while. And the reason that I found out why, I analyzed, and is that, when if you put your hands in the pocket and try to stem, it's very hard. Try it and see, if you have a
Yeah,
pocket.
I'm thinking about that
Yeah,
now.
it's hard. So what happens is that when the brain was sending the signal to his hands, but now in the pocket, since he couldn't flap his hand as much, the signal itself, got weaker and weaker, bit in
Mhm.
intensity and frequency, and that's why it got extinguished. So these are some of the things I came as I taught this. I mean, there's no like this is it, this is unique in my book. So same way I was able to not like stopping that, but giving him an alternative. So it's like undesirable, like lot of undesirable behavior that we can replace it with desirable behavior. So uh, that is something they tell you, but they don't tell you how.
How? Yeah.
How. So I figured out those hows, so lot of them. So like Prague he has self-injurious behavior, like he's not aggressive to others. So when he gets frustrated, he bites his hand. So I gave him a wristband. So that is like immediate, that is like a coping skill right here, okay? But then I gave him a hanky, and so he can bite on the hanky and he puts it in his pocket. So then gradually that he doesn't have that need. Most of the time he'll just wipe his mouth and put it in. So you won't even notice that this is what he's doing. It looks kind of like it
Mhm.
looks as any of us will be doing it, so
Yeah.
these are some of the common sense things in my book. So even when I have used applied behavioral analysis, it's with a lot of common sense. But what I've found out in my life is that common sense is the most uncommon thing, and the most required thing. So there
Yeah.
is, Amanda, there's something else about, because I just did an event. It's
Uh-huh.
called Caregiver Skill Training Workshop, and that went very well. So over there, somebody was like, oh no, applied behavioral analysis. And I'm like, applied behavioral analysis, when they do it in school, they mostly do discrete trial training, which is like repetition, the flashcards repetition. Our kids learn through repetition. So retention is
Yeah.
very important. But what happens is that is not the totality of it. I talked about teachable moments. So, and all of us, you, me, all of us teach. What is that? It falls under the umbrella of applied behavioral analysis. Actually, teachable moment is finding organic moments of teaching throughout the day. So like example, if your kid comes to you and asks you a question, and you answer that question and satisfy his curiosity, and so generally it's short, like, and no, fun. But and so you are like, well, I do this all the time, but you don't know it as a teachable moment, okay?
Right.
But now once a mom or dad or grandma grandpa knows it as a teachable moment, they use it more. The only important thing is that you have to make sure it is still fun, don't overdo it. So
Yes.
that is an aspect of applied behavioral analysis. So contextual teaching, taking the kids to the zoo and talking about animals, That is applied behavioral analysis. So it is not just sitting in a classroom and just doing stuff one flashcard after another, and documenting everything. Documentation is important. I'm not saying that it is very important, but when you learn something, if your kid is potty trained, there's like you it's 100%, there's the
Yeah.
you don't, oh, my kid is 60% potty trained. No, so he is or he's not, or she is or she's not. So documentation is important, but the result is even more important.
Love to hear that. So let's move on. You're very spiritual, and like you say, you pray a lot. That has helped you, and I can agree. Praying has helped me get through um, the beginning part of the journey because I had mom guilt, but I popped out of it because I'm like, okay, he's here for a reason, and I always say my baby has helped me on so many levels. So he is a great blessing. Um, how did being spiritual just change your aspect of everything?
Oh, it anchored me. Without that, I don't think I could have. And believing in that power of prayer has given me the strength. So I always tell God, God, you have given me Prague. So hold my hand, show me the path, and give me the strength. So, and He has. That's what I believe that He has. Um, like the what I also have realized in this journey is that um, we are totally exhausted, to our wits end, because there is no it's like there is no manual to where we can, hey, this is it, this is what we
Yeah.
follow. So we are just gathering information, trying to apply. It's a hit and trial, and if it hits, it's great. If it doesn't, then we still go on looking for it. So in this journey, it's not just the kid, it's the entire family. So you are divided into so many directions.
Yes.
And so um, that made me write my second book, Energy Management Mantras for Caregivers. And yes, I like when people used to ask me, um, how are you so put together? I'm like, what are they talking about? That's not true. It's just I call those days when I'm not aligned, I'm not centered, I call those days as autistic days, and I keep away from people. I keep still, I center, and that is when I pray. So praying has helped me a lot. I so I already shared, about Prague, how, while I was praying, God says, "Are you, are you going to move, cry, or sulk?" And something happened, uh, uh, and that made the vocation come along. I told you that I'll tell you that. So the story, the entire all these books I have shared like anecdotes and stories, because my ancestors were tremendous storytellers.
Yeah.
And when you tell something in interesting through a story, it holds in your head.
Yes.
Yeah. So this book too, the Energy Management Mantras for Caregivers, is like, because I realized that our energy is pooped out. So people would ask me this, like, how are you so put together? I'm like, no, it's not true. But and everything is in the third chapter, Prague's diagnosis and my cleansing, in my first book, because I didn't want to write another book. Okay. And then what happened was, I counseled a girl during COVID, and she was finishing up her studies for becoming a teacher. And she has a brother who is level 3, severe autistic,
Awesome.
and
Oh,
yes, and then dad wheelchair bound, mom a nurse, and she was like, I have to get a job. And at that time it was so bad that even doctors didn't know what was happening. People were going on ventilators and things like that. So I told her that, listen, the biggest gift that God has given you is your life. So preserve that, and then you can do everything else. So
yeah.
right now you think that. So somehow, I don't know why, but that counseling made me write this book. And this book hasn't been that easy. Like, it came, a manuscript was done in 2.5 hours. This has been labor of love, because I had to go into my past and then dive deep and bring all those pearls of wisdom, to share. And those are in the forms of stories and anecdotes and things that has happened, practices and principles that has given me that energy and enthusiasm to live my life with love, courage, and hope. And that's what I am sharing through this book to with people. So one, energy is like capacity to do work. It's
Yeah.
exactly in physics, like, capacity to do work. Well, our capacity to do work as a caregiver, when we are taking care of people, like, who have disorders or chronic disease, or for that matter geriatric care. So uh, I had podcast with James, and he says that, like, he has his uh, I think mother who is
Yeah.
going through that dementia phase, and it's very heart wrenching. Okay, so so then, how do we bring that energy? How do we, uh, the capacity to do work, because we are so pooped out. So this book helps with that. And it gives us tools to think positively. Why are we so pooped out? Is because uh, we are in that rut. Like, we think 70,000 thoughts throughout the day, and
Yeah.
most of them are repetitive. Only 20,000 is positive, which is, like, I think 20%. Okay, and so it's very important to have that raw material, the thoughts, positive thoughts, to energize us, to keep us going. So that and those are the so these are like tools to think, and those are mantras.
Mantras.
Yes. So those are, like, how to think positive, how to be in that state of. So I have talked about, like, three energy states, and those
Mhm.
are like positive mental energy state. The highest one is joy. And then the second mental positive energy state is like happiness. And how to oscillate between these two states, joy and happiness. And then you may ask me, why not enjoy all the time? So it's the only person I believe can be in that state of joy is Buddha. And we don't say Buddha, it's Buddha. So that means enlightened human being. And because their heart is full of love and wisdom, just like, um, I've given this example of electrons. Electrons, their outermost orbit is the octet is full. They have 8 electrons, so they are noble gases, and that is why they're noble, because they do not react. So
Yeah.
Buddha does not react because of their heart is full of wisdom and love. But we are like normal regular human beings. We are reacting all the time. So
Yeah.
then, how do we not react and respond to a situation? So
Yeah.
that is very important for us to learn, you know and so one thing that has really helped me in this journey is changing worries to concern. So let me explain that. So, we all worry all the time. It's like, and we find reasons to worry. That's what I have figured out. Making mountain out of, so, but, and so that's what it is. Worrying is, just, in our mind's eye, we see all these dreary things, and we do nothing about it. So concern is like taking that first step forward, doing something about the challenging situation that we are facing, doing something. It could be anything, but doing something about it, then just sitting and worrying, it doesn't do
Yeah.
any good. you know so
No,
I
it doesn't.
yes. And so I'll tell you a personal experience which I share when in my talks. I have Parag's video, of shaving for the first time. And you know
Uh-huh.
what, Amanda? Until he was shaving, with the first
Yeah.
time when before that, I worried. Oh my God! In my head, I was thinking, how am I going to teach him? He's going to bleed. He's going to roll on the floor. So I had all these worries in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, and when the time came, the very first video that I share, people laugh their gut out. Then he's looking in the mirror, admiring himself, and then shaving. And he must have seen his dad, he must have seen his brother,
Yeah.
and he was so ready. And so I tell people that, you know what, that day I realized something very important, you know and I tell them that my wisdoms haven't come from scriptures, they have come from watching Disney movies with Parag. So one very important message I want to share, and that is, you know yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why it is called present, and it comes right out from Kung Fu Panda. So what it tells us is to be right here in the present.
The present. Yeah.
Yes, in doing so, we don't worry about what has happened in the past, what is going to happen in the future, and we are right here doing something about it. So, and that is something I want everybody out there. It's not about doing, at least we're doing something. It gives us a purpose, and then it automatically starts to give us direction. I was so lost, I have told you. But gradually by doing it, when I say 25 years and I'm still doing it. So it's not, but in that journey, I'm not stuck.
Yeah.
It's slow. Let me tell you, it's so slow. Sometimes it feels like we are stuck,
Yeah.
but when looking back, and that is when you are at that point where you feel, oh my God, nothing is moving. It's always good to look back,
Yeah.
because sometimes looking in the front, because we don't have that answer, but looking back gives us hope. And the hope, and I always tell people, that hope is the biggest dope, that we should take
Yeah.
24/7.
I agree.
Yeah. So that is, when I have negative thoughts, and all of us have negative thoughts,
Yeah.
then that is what I tell them, that, I have a coping mechanism for that. And that is the song from the Frozen. Let it go, let it go.
Let it go. Love that song.
Yes, me too, me too.
What advice do you give moms that are stuck in the why me moment, or this isn't supposed to be my life? What advice do you give those moms?
Like, I am going to tell them that, just what I said right now, hold on to something, and holding on to something is like, I surrendered to God, and in that surrendering, I got the strength. So I can tell. So everybody, it's natural and normal to go through that why me phase. It's nothing, but to be stuck in that phase forever, then is not, So I'll tell, and this is a personal experience, and I'm going to tell you about. So we talked about, like, the state of joy and happiness, and I want people to oscillate between that. I'm able to say that because I was not in that state for a long time. I was in a negative mental energy state. You know what you are saying, why me phase was one of the things in that. Okay. And then so that I will ask everyone, that is one vortex one has to somehow figure out to avoid. And that is what this book does. It gives you ways and means and tools and coping mechanism to get out of that. Because I am an example, from trying to get, and that doesn't mean that I don't falter and I don't like, start sliding. But then I have all these mnemonic devices, that is in that book is like a recipe book for me too. I wrote it, now
Yeah.
it's good, I can go and read what when I have that need. So what like, that negative mental energy state is so dissipative for anybody. And it's like a dark vortex, it's like a bottomless pit. And it when you are in that pit, and I'm pretty sure you're nodding your head, so
I
it's
know.
yes, and it is bottomless, and when it's so dark and dreary, we don't and we it's like a free fall. We don't know, it transfixes us, it's a hypnosis. I have lived there, so I know.
Yeah.
And the day I said to myself, I am not going to fall, you know
Yeah.
what? I looked up and I could see the light, and I knew how to dig myself out.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm going to tell all the parents, all the caregivers out there. It's not easy. I won't say that it's easy, but once you tell yourself that I am not going to fall, then you get out of that hypnosis automatically. And because you start seeing the light, there is a way out of this dark tunnel, and you will dig yourself out inch by inch, yard by yard, and you'll be out from there. And when you start doing that, that is when you the more you will start seeing people who are like you, and then you start forming your tribe. I had no friends, and there was a point in my life my so-called friends left me, and then
Yeah.
I realized that my tribe will never leave me.
That's true. I've been there, and I have amazing friends that are still here, but lately I have been making acquaintances and friendships with other autism moms, and it's just like a nice tribe to have as an addition. So I completely get that, but you have to want it and you have to come out of that sunken place, because I was in it, and it took a lot, because not only was it the autism situation, but it was just life in general. And so you have to learn how to like really pull yourself. And I made a promise to never go back there. So I try to think positive and just move forward all the time, because
Yes,
it's hard.
it is. I mean, it's really hard. And I'll tell you something. When I wrote this new book, this
Mhm.
energy management mantras for caregivers, so it has been 10 years. In November 15th, it will be like 10 years for my first book. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. And in this book, I wrote that I don't like to go back into my past. The first book, okay,
Uh-huh.
because they bring bad memories. It's like opening the Pandora's box, okay. Now, 10 years later, when I wrote this book, it's no more a Pandora's box, because uh, you know, dived deep into that past to write this book, and bring all those pearls of wisdom. So now it has become a memory box. So, that's healing. That's healing. And until unless we declutter, we cannot heal. So, what is like, decluttering? Just like I told you, I'm a gardener. So, tell me, if you don't weed your garden, what happens?
It gets cluttered with the weeds. You got to
Yeah.
get rid of them.
So the same thing, Amanda, that the mental decluttering is needed. You know, all that guilt, anger. So we know, but we don't know how to release that. Nothing wrong with getting angry. That's a normal human emotion. But how to release it in such a way that it doesn't do damage? It's like having a dam on a, flooded river, and then the flood won't do that kind of a damage. You know? So these are some of the tools in the book that will come very handy to us caregivers, because I realized, well, my first book is an instructional book. Well, I did this with Prague and this happened and you can tweak it. But then, but to do all that, where do I get the energy to do it? So
Yeah.
until unless we declutter, and decluttering is not a one-time deal. You know, it's just like you don't do spring cleaning of your house just one time.
Yeah.
So then it's the energy flow has to happen. And the thing is that the why are we all the time huffing and puffing? We are like a headless chicken. Why? You know,
Mhm.
that's why is the energy, why are we so pooped out? No
Yeah.
energy, no enthusiasm. And the reason for that, what I have found out is that we are managing wrong thing. We are managing time. If we manage energy, everything falls into place. So because think of it, time is infinite and our time on this mother earth is finite. So if we compete with time, we will always be in a deficit. So yeah, and then what happens is, because we are all the time making schedules and timetables, and then it's not working. And
Working.
then, and then we are so overworked, then we are like, okay, let's eat sugary stuff, drink booze. And nobody should be doing that, but those are quick fixes. And then when we do rely on the quick fixes for this long term thing that we are dealing life, so then it is like it's not going to work, because then it starts our body, our brain doesn't like that, these quick fixes. So which is the most magnificent computer, our brain. And then what happens is it filters to our body. We start having diseases, disorders,
Yeah.
immune system disorder, heart problems, whatnot. So that's what is needed, is to manage energy. And to manage energy, we need to declutter. And then once we declutter all these negativities, then that is when we start healing. And it's simultaneous, that healing and decluttering. As you declutter, you also start healing. You become whole again. But we cannot heal until unless we are kind to ourselves. And we caregivers are not kind to ourselves. We
No.
beat ourselves. We beat ourselves, all the time. And that doesn't help. So first we have to be kind to ourselves, because until unless we fill ourselves up, we cannot give. So
Yes.
that is very important. So I want the caregivers to figure this out, that it's very. And how can we be kind to ourselves? By forgiving ourselves with all the mistakes. We are human, with all the mistakes, all the shortcomings that
Mhm.
we have done. It's not that we did it knowingly. The accidents it happen not by desire or design. So
I
we have,
agree.
you know, so that's it. So then forgive yourself and then evolve from that, learn from that, and become a better human being. That the- So
I
kindness
love
is, yeah, and kindness is just giving. And you can, of course, give money or time to a cause, but just giving a hug, just
Yeah.
giving a smile. How hard is that? But we make it hard.
Hard. Yeah.
You
And
know,
it's not hard.
it's not hard. Just praying for somebody, sending that positive energy of health and healing. So these are the ways to do it. And then, but like, how do we learn to be kind? That is something very important, and I've written this in the book, and
Uh-huh.
it's more coherent, I guess, over there. But
Yeah.
but the kindness is like responding, not reacting. But how will we respond? I said that, but like everybody's like how, so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, so that pause, the essence of it lies in the pause. So let me explain it. Suppose somebody's angry, and
Yeah.
instead of getting upset at them, if we just pause for a second and thought that maybe this person is reacting like this because he or she may have lost someone, lost something, a dog, a job, a friend, for sure they have lost their mind for a bit, so we can. So once we think that way, once we think kind, then our words are kind, then our actions are kind. So I really think one mantra for all of us is to tie ourselves in that thread of kindness.
Yeah. And that's amazing that you said that as far, because now, like, since I've had my son, when I see people react a certain way, I am just like, okay, something's going on. They may be having a bad day and they're not sharing it, because I try to always be happy, but I know sometimes with my journey, everything isn't going to be happy and joy. And sometimes I can react and lash out a little bit. So I've noticed, like, since the diagnosis, I give people so much grace, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on in their world, and that's their moment. So I love that you mentioned that.
Thank you. I
You're
mean,
welcome.
everybody is going through something, so we don't know but till you walk in their shoes.
That's true. And you have a foundation. Can you tell us about your foundation?
Yes, yes, of course, Amanda. So, the Autism Foundation of Gadsden, Alabama, I have, uh, so I'm a founder and president of that. And every year we do this autism conference. So now there is a story behind how this came about. Everything has a story, okay? So, what happened was like, um, after like after COVID, somebody called me from Center for Cultural Arts and said that, hey, Mamta, this kid over there, they have this place called Imagination Place, and kids from schools and everywhere, they come to play over there. And this kid with autism, he had come on a field trip with his mom, and he had a massive meltdown there, which lasted for 1.5 hours. And the employee at the Center for Cultural Arts, it's a part, the Imagination Place is a part of that uh, Center for Cultural Arts. So they said, Mamta, we wanted to help, but we didn't know how. So can you please help us? So I said, yes. Do you have a room to spare? So inclusive room over there, so you down, okay? So and it is actually, that room helps everybody. It has become, sensory rooms have become, or sensory things have become very popular with individuals with autism. But the behavioral intervention is for everybody. What works for them also works for us in a similar situation.
Yeah.
So they were like, all the employees are like, oh, Mamta, it's helping, so many people are coming and they're saying all these good stuff about the sensory room. And I said, that's great, but like, that's not enough, to bring autism awareness. So they said, what? And I said, well, conference is the way to bring autism awareness, acceptance, and inclusion. So then they launched my first conference. And then we maxed out the space over there. We had 103 people the very first year. And then so we maxed out the space. We brought it to a big space over here. It's venue in Gadsden. And also we give it through Zoom all over USA. And then we And it's a cross professional conference. So it is
Okay.
like, so we give CMEs to the physicians, CUs to all the educators, and like BCBAs. We also include the first responders. So the first responder presented this time about safety for individuals with autism. So it's cross professional, and we need it to be cross professional, and like widen our horizon. In the school system, they ask me, like, I'm like, no, it's not just cross curriculum, it's cross professional. So that when our kids go to, suppose they went to a shop,
Yeah.
and they are flapping their hands, or they're not looking, making an eye contact, then the person, if he has that awareness, then he will be like, oh yeah, he is autistic, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that, then you'll be like, oh my god, he's not looking in the eyes, or she's not looking in the eye, so rude.
True. Yep.
Yeah. So that is the difference. So that is why awareness is so important. And we are bringing that through Autism Foundation of Gadsden, Alabama, through and hope and happiness to the families and individuals with autism. And we are spreading it in throughout Northeast Alabama.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. Do y'all have parents that come, or do they mostly like attend online?
No, the parents come too, and we sponsor quite a few, like as the individuals too. Many of them, if they have a hard time coming in person, then they, like, they are able to join us through the virtual platform. Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember, like, Amanda, when Prague was little, Ankur, and I wanted to go to the conferences, but physically it was impossible to leave and go. So that also made me decide that I knew about, what, I wanted to be knowledgeable, but it was very hard to, where do I keep my kids, and then I go,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that is why I also like the Zoom as a platform. I mean, it could be any virtual, but we give it through Zoom.
So okay.
Yeah.
And so, what's next for you and your foundation? Like, are you gonna write another book?
No, I don't plan things, Amanda. Like, that's I told you, it's all God's plan.
Yeah.
I I did not think this book came just because I told you I counseled a girl, and I had no intention of writing another book. I was deflecting it to my third chapter in my first book, Brock's Diagnosis and My Cleansing. And believe me, I really, that decluttering, that mental cleansing, being learning to be kind to myself has helped me. And it's all, once you declutter, it's not that we lose, that we are not kind people, or we are not loving, or we are. It's just that in that clutter of things, we don't find it. So
Yeah.
until unless you declutter, it's very hard to find your own core. So once we do, that is when we resonate with our highest purpose. So that is, this book is about. So synergize, find, to, through that positive thinking, that mantra, mantra is like, man is like think, and tra means tool. That's a Sanskrit root words, man
Okay.
and tra. So that is, so these are like tools of positive thinking in the book, which kind of synergizes you to, like, work, not just physically, work, but in that mental realm, spiritual, emotional. You are so uh, so together with
Yeah.
your thoughts, with your words, with your actions, so that, that synergy happens, and you move, you feel that you're charting forward. It's not easy. I'm not telling anybody out there that it's easy. It's totally not. If I'm making it sound easy, then please don't think so. Okay. It's very hard, because every single day is a new day. But if we have the mindset that, if today I will make this very bad day into not so bad a day, and then maybe a good day.
Yeah.
That's how every single day is for me.
Yes, I agree. I'm looking for ways like, okay, this is happening, but let's figure this out. Let's redirect. So I totally get it.
So I do want to share something, So
Uh-huh,
this book, the painting that you see of the flame, that
uh-huh.
Prague has made.
So
And
he
I want
draws.
to
He's a
he paints, and we
okay.
didn't know about that. So this is something I want to share with all the caregivers. And this is the translation of my first book in Spanish language. And the
Okay.
reason I'm showing this is that is one of Prague's paintings. That is the
That is
sunset from,
amazing.
yes, sunset from our backyard right there.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
You're so
So
talented.
So, yes, but let me tell you, I didn't know about this, and this is something all the caregivers out there need to know. Is
Uh-huh.
that, what happened? Let me go a little bit back. I know, like, so I told you that he makes these pottery candles and
Candles,
natural
yeah.
body care products. So the story is this, that when um, like his pediatric neurologist told me that, Mamta, when you get old, then you need to put him in some place where he can live, and which is safe. So I said, okay. So he suggested a place. It's about 45 minutes of drive from Gadsden.
Uh-huh.
And what I saw was tremendous. So the Honda plant has given work to these individuals. They are not like autistic, all of them, but they are special needs, okay? And they were so happy putting like small car parts from various trays into a Ziploc. So I came back home and I wanted something for Prague. So I sent him over here to see if he can be trained for any job. And the letter that came, it says, Prague is, I get very emotional when I say this, Prague is totally untrainable for any job. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I cried. I've told you, that yes, being spiritual has helped me. So I cried. I was on my knees by the kitchen counter. And and then this voice spoke again. It says, "It's October. Christmas is around the corner. Why don't you teach Prague to make candles?" And I had no knowledge of making candles. And I wiped my tears and went to Hobby Lobby. And,
Uh-huh.
and then I got like stuff for candle making. And I realized that wax candle is very dangerous to make. So then I went on researching and I found out about gel candles, which is very forgiving. And it's plant based, so it's natural. And Prague, after removing all the glitches, I taught it to Prague. And then what happened was, one of my friends, she says, Mamta, can I sell these? So it was not my idea. It was her idea.
Okay, it was her
And
idea.
then 2 years later, in 2014, he had nummular eczema. So then I made this neem soap, and many people don't know what neem is. Neem is a oil, like the oil that we put. It's a neem is a tree, like neem tree in tropical countries, and it is antimicrobial. So I made a soap, and I could do that because my grandpa was an acharya in Ayurveda also. Like, so it's like modern day PhD kind of in natural medicine. And I used to help my grandma. And imagine everything came full circle. So I made that. And then his eczema went away, and also the lavender massager. So she says, my friend says, can you package this good? We will sell this. And that is how it, and then people started coming to us and say, does he make this bug repellent which doesn't have DEET? I'm like, he's not making it, but he'll make it. So, and then, so that's how it has expanded. So I believe what happened was in COVID, when his stuff was not selling much, because
Uh-huh.
the local support, those places had closed down. Like, hindsight 2020, like, we know 2 months later those places opened up, but meanwhile nothing was selling. So I went and got some small canvases for Parag, and all I know is splatter painting. So I taught the splatter painting, which he learned like that. And the third day he put the brush upside down and squiggled, and you won't believe that squiggling. And then I was very scared, like, what is he doing? Because when you see him paint, you will think it's random, and you can go to the Facebook page and see, like, I posted a couple of those. And um, the day I realized that there's no randomness, I'll tell you how. Because he was painting, when he writes his name, he's done. So he was painting a scenery, and when he was done, he flipped the painting and wrote his name. So all the while he was painting upside down.
Oh.
Yes. So, like, it is like a sunset, and I thought it's the canopy of a tree. It never
Uh-huh.
was the canopy of a tree. When he flipped it, it is
It
all
was
the underbrush.
fun.
It's beautiful. And that is the day I realized, oh my God, brilliant, because they, like, a neurotypical brain thinks
Yeah.
from A to B to C to D. But the neurodivergent, they are tremendous. They may go from A to D, come back to B, and finish at C.
Yeah.
But the end result is tremendous. So like, initially it was abstract painting, and then, as I showed you, like, now this is the scenery of a backyard,
Yeah.
sunrise from a backyard. So that is how. So he just amazes me.
That's
So that,
amazing.
yes. So we did his exhibition, and like 2 years back. And before that, Parag was like, once he paints, he's like, give me more. And believe me, so now this is something, uh, it will tickle you, is that if you tell Prague, I'm giving you a bag of chips, which he loves, okay? So can I take all your paintings? He'll say yes.
Oh,
So that is, so that's he is talented, everything.
he
So,
is
but
very talented.
such a pure soul, and he doesn't expect harm from anybody. He just loves everybody. So
Yeah.
that, then, as a caregiver, it becomes such a huge responsibility to protect him. So these are some of the things. So they may be savant, and the 1% is savant. So that means 1 out of every 10 kid is savant, but not all. So it is still a high number, but there is a difference between savant and protege. Savants are like, they may be talented, but they may not be able to tie their shoelace.
Yeah.
So this is the difference. And the protege is not. They are like neurotypical, and they are tremendous in there, but they are not challenged the way special needs population is challenged,
Yeah.
in their daily living.
That's good. You're giving out really great information tonight. I'm so glad that I was able to have you on.
Thank you
Um,
for this opportunity.
it's very therapeutic, and you are saying things that we need to hear as autism parents, because a lot of us don't process that, oh, this is happening and it's okay. Enjoy life. Like I see it a lot. And it took me a minute to get out of that stage, but I didn't want to stay there too long. So this is very therapeutic to hear how you came out of it and you're still doing amazing work within the autism community.
So thank you.
You're welcome. What is your confession as an autism mom?
So, that's a good one. I didn't know it was coming. I should have known that, the show. Um, there are, uh, as a confession, I'll say there are times, I I just feel that we need. There's no really not a confession as such, but I really want all of us to come together. That is something I would love for all the mothers, no matter in what spectrum their kid is. But if all the mothers came together, then nothing can stop our kids from finding their innate ability. That's what I'm sharing today. It's very difficult, but when we all will put our head together, then it's totally doable. So I really see it that way. They need the right nurturing, right habitat, and we are their parents, but we have to become the gardener, prune them right, and then grow them right.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. That would be so nice that all the moms we just come together and advocate and teach and just I love that.
Yeah. But I would
And
like to sleep a lot. That's a
yes,
confession. I don't get time to rest. So I like
yes. I don't either. um, can you tell us where we can find your book?
Yes. So my book, both the books are actually on Amazon, of course, but
Okay.
both of them, and you can find it on Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, so all the reputable bookstores, and also on my website, which is Mamta Jha, Jha Mishra, Mishra, .com, and from that you can also get like autographed book. So that is, yes, so that is possible through that site.
And can they get it on the Kindle or is it just in book form?
Oh, no, it is Kindle also. Yes,
Okay, perfect.
yes. And there's something I want to share about my first book. So
Yes.
my first book is also on Audible, and it is free for like on trial for a month. And I really, so I do believe that it comes very handy when I announce that in the forums where I go talk, and yeah, so that's doable. And if need be, then I also give code so that they can keep it for free.
Okay, and you all, I will put her website, Facebook, the links from Amazon in the description. So it's just a click and you can get the books because I am going to get both of them on
Oh,
Kindle
thank you.
and read them because I really think it would be so helpful just from you explaining, everything that's in both the books. So I am gonna read those this
Oh,
month.
thank
So
thank you,
thank you for
Amanda.
sharing that with us. Of course, I'm always here to support the moms, and we're all on the same journey. So any help that I can get, I'm looking for it. So your books, I'm gonna definitely get them tonight. So I'm excited to read them.
Oh,
Any
thank.
final thoughts that you want to say?
Um, yes, I want all the caregivers to be hopelessly hopeful in their individual journey, in in their challenges, because as I said, hope is the only dope we should take 24/7. So yeah. So I want everybody to be hopeful. It's very hard, but that's it. Hope keeps us going. And I found this mantra from gardening. I told you gardening has influenced me. So
Yes.
hope is like, when you um, sow a seed, and then you still water it, you make sure that it gets the sunlight, and then wait, and that is patience. Waiting is patience. But hope is knowing, you don't see anything, but you know that in the womb of that mother earth there's something, a miracle is happening. So that is hope. You see no results. Many of us, when we are working, it's so slow, we don't see result. But that is hope, to believe that there's something is happening. I'm not seeing it, but one day that beautiful sapling will come out.
Yes.
And that's the nurturing. So that is hope. I kind of made an imagery out of that. So
It was a great imagery. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I love how you explain everything because you give the full description so we can completely understand. You are so amazing. I'm so
Thank
glad that I was able to chat with you this evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. Your book seems amazing. And like I say, I'm going to get me a copy on Kindle tonight because, like I say, I always try to give like daily affirmations for that push, but it seems like your book is going to give me the push that I need. So, moms, go ahead and click on the links once I put them in the description box and support Mata. Make sure you follow her on all her social media platforms, and I will also place that in the description box as well. And leave a nice supportive comment because her journey is amazing and we all want to hear more about it. And make sure you follow her so you can see where she'll be. Because you do conferences a lot, correct?
Yes, yes, it's a yearly conference, and yes, we do a lot of events. We just did a caregiver skill training recently, so we brought all the caregivers together and gave them like tools to when for the early diagnosis, what to do. Yes.
Perfect. And so you'll be able to find all that information. But thank you again, Mata, for
Thank
joining us
you, Mamta.
tonight. All right, you all, and we'll see you all next month with another special guest. Bye.
Bye. Good night.